Dividend investing is one of the most popular strategies for generating what many believe is passive income. It's easy to see why. Who wouldn't want a steady stream of cash without selling a single share? For decades, dividends have been marketed as a stable, low-risk way to grow your wealth while enjoying what everyone perceives to be passive income along the way. But beneath the surface, dividend investing hides significant limitations. High-yielding stocks may seem like a smart choice, but they often come with serious trade-offs, missed opportunity for growth, higher taxes, and unexpected risks during market downturns. And if you're not careful, chasing those dividend payouts could derail your long-term financial success. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand the hidden risks of dividend investing, but also learn what you should prioritize instead to maximize your wealth. Now, keep in mind, I own SCHD. I continue to buy SCHD. I'm not against dividends. What I'm against is the social media love of dividend investing as a form of investing. No. And guess what? If you buy a lot of companies that have stable and growing dividends, you will likely do well in terms of growing that income. But keep in mind, even though dividend investing at its core sounds like a great idea, it is not free money. It's merely a transfer of wealth from one pocket to another. You feel like you're double winning, but when a company pays a high dividend, or any sort of dividend, it's kind of a way of admitting that they can't reinvest their profits effectively. And all they're doing is they're taking money from a bank account that you have an ownership stake in and putting it into your pocket. But along the way, they're also taxing you double. Why? Because that cash they used to pay you with the dividend was already taxed to get there. Then they put it in your pocket, the government comes and takes it again. Now think about it this way. Forget about the tax implications for right now. Let's talk about the company and what they're doing with the money. Would you rather own a company that has the potential to reinvest their profit into groundbreaking innovations, or one that hands out cash because it lacks better ideas? When a company's paying out major money to their shareholders in the form of dividends, what they're saying is, guys, we can't invest this money another way. A great company, one that can really build on itself, is one that has high opportunities for reinvesting their capital to grow. I learned this actually through real estate. I renovate apartments, and I always said I'm not going to live off my cash flow from the real estate. I'm going to keep reinvesting my money at high rates of return to keep compounding my wealth. Once I realized that, I said, wait a second, why is this any different for stocks? High dividends on individual stocks can be a major red flag, signaling that management has run out of worthwhile growth opportunities, or that they're scared of their stock price going down, so they offer a high dividend yield to attract people into the company, hoping for that high payout. Warren Buffett himself said, paying dividends is essentially an admission by management that they can't think of anything better to do with the company's money. Now, keep in mind, Warren Buffett loves dividends as well. Just because you say that a dividend isn't the best use of money doesn't mean you hate the dividend. It just means you have to understand what that company is telling you and value it appropriately. Companies with the ability to reinvest profits at high rates of return will likely outperform those that prioritize dividends. So let's look at some real-world examples to see how dividend investing can backfire. Take General Electric, once considered a blue-chip dividend darling. Over the last decade, GE has slashed its dividend multiple times, and its stock has plummeted by a staggering 75%. Investors who relied on its supposedly stable dividend watched their portfolios erode in value. Back in 2004, I was buying my first piece of real estate. I hired an attorney in town. I went to his office, and he told me he was the trustee of a trust, and he bought GM stock because of its high dividend. And I asked one question: can it support the dividend? And his response was, if they couldn't support it, they wouldn't be paying it. Guys, go back and look at GM back in 2004. Guys, they couldn't support it. They could not pay it. What they did was they were doing this because they were trying to mask what they were doing wrong. A lot of companies will actually go out and borrow money in order to pay the dividend. This is why when we look at our stocks, we look on the main page, the main metrics of their dividend payout relative to their 5-year free cash flow. And whenever it's above 50%, I always sit there and say, hang on a second, take a look at this. Back in 2008, Many financial institutions that had long paid dividends were forced to cut or eliminate them entirely to survive. So the investors who counted on those were left scrambling. And remember the 2014 oil crash? Many high-yield energy companies saw their stock prices collapse, wiping out years of returns. High dividends didn't save investors then either. As John Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, warned, high yields often mean high risk. Don't let a dividend blind you to the fundamentals. I'm going to repeat several times in this video. It doesn't mean you should avoid dividends. I like getting that check too, but keep in mind, my financial situation is a lot different than everybody else's. I have enough to live the rest of my life without working a day. So I like the dividends to just supplement that income so I can focus on investing the cash flow into higher growth opportunities. But chasing high payouts can leave you exposed to sector-specific risks, and companies with weak long-term growth prospects and weak balance sheets may be a major issue for the person who is the dividend investor. And a very often overlooked downside of dividends is taxation. Dividends aren't just taxed, they're taxed immediately. This means that every time you receive a dividend, a portion of it will go straight to the government, reducing your compounding power. Now, of course, if you buy it in a 401k or an IRA, you're deferring the tax or not paying it at all. While in contrast, companies that reinvest their profits allow those gains to compound within business, and a lot of times that reinvestment is a deductible investment. As they take that cash to grow their profit, they're not only growing the cash flow, but they're growing the value of the business. Peter Lynch famously noted, the fastest growing companies typically don't pay dividends because they reinvest profits to fuel that future growth. This is why growth-oriented companies like Amazon, which reinvest their profits rather than pay them out, have delivered massive long-term returns that have compounded over and over. Taxes on dividends create a drag on your investment returns. Even if you reinvest those dividends, the compounding effect is weaker because part of your payout is lost to taxes up front. This is why 401ks and IRAs are so valuable to investors. They allow you to compound tax-free. Now, to reiterate, the opportunity cost of paying out these dividends. When a company pays that dividend, it forgoes reinvesting that cash into high return projects that could generate far greater long-term value. Apple, for example, avoided paying dividends for years. Instead, it reinvested its profits into game-changing products like the iPhone. This strategy didn't just boost profits. It revolutionized entire industries and created immense shareholder value. A dividend doesn't reduce the risks of a stock. It just changes how you receive your returns. If the company struggles, both the dividend and the stock price can suffer, leaving investors doubly exposed, especially if you relied on that dividend as a form of your return. If you look at the data, the Dividend Growth Fund, VDIGX, underperformed the broader market by an average of 1.1% annually over more than 30 years. While this might seem like a small difference, it compounded over time to result in a 27% lower return. Now, keep in mind, it all depends where you are in your investment cycle. The thing that bothers me is when I see Instagram and Twitter and see all these young people that love dividends, talk about dividend investing. You're not dividend investing. You're investing in the company that pays a dividend. It's a very different thing. And when you're young, that 1.1% a year can add up to a lot. Now, SCHD has done a good job of maintaining its performance relative to SPY up until recently when the Mag 7 took off. And that's why I have decided to invest in SCHD. But I'm okay making less return because I don't need the growth as much as other people. I have businesses, I have real estate, but most people are not in that position. Dividend-focused strategies also tend to concentrate investments in sectors like utilities, telecom, and consumer staples. While these sectors may be less volatile, they are not immune to economic downturns. Over-concentration in these sectors exposes investors to unnecessary risk. So, if dividend investing isn't the best approach, what should you focus on instead? Well, guys, I'm not saying it's not the best approach. It's about keeping you in check and realizing that just buying dividends on individual companies and falling for these dividend traps is something to look out for. But I want you to find companies with high returns on equity, high returns on invested capital, low payout ratios. For me, I want to find companies that pay about 50% or less of their 5-year average free cash flow that we talk about in our community and in our software, in the form of dividends. I want to see companies that are able to reinvest profits effectively. Businesses that reinvest their earnings into high return projects consistently outperform those that prioritize payouts. Take Alphabet, Google's parent company, as an example. By reinvesting profits into research and development, as well as strategic acquisitions, Alphabet has become one of the most valuable companies in the world without ever paying a dividend. But my guess is eventually they will have to pay a dividend. Why? Because they're going to run out of things to reinvest in that will move the needle. But this approach does fuel innovation and expansion, ultimately compounding the company's value for shareholders and increasing its cash flow. Again, I'm going to repeat, buying companies that pay dividends isn't inherently bad, but blindly chasing those yields can cost you. And of course, everybody out there who loves dividends will say, well, I don't blindly chase yields. But when you immerse yourself in this whole dividend investing idea, be careful. It's a slippery slope. And while dividends can provide a very steady income stream when bought broadly, they often come at the expense of growth opportunities, compounding power and long-term wealth. Look at QQQ, for example. This is an ETF that focuses on the NASDAQ 100, the fastest growing and most innovative companies. Their dividend yield is about 0.5 or 0.6%. And even if we bought QQQ at the peak of the March 2000 bull market, watching it fall 83% from there, you still would have returned over 15% per year dollar cost averaging into it. That's amazing wealth. And the reason that's done is because those companies take their money and reinvest into growth opportunities. To build true wealth, prioritize companies that reinvest profits into high return opportunities. Over time, smart reinvestment beats high payouts almost every single time. If you love steady cash flow from dividends, let me ask you this. What if you could take your investing strategy to the next level? At Everything Money, we aren't just about collecting dividends, which we do enjoy. We're about owning great companies at great prices. That's how real wealth is built. In addition to that, I'm an avid writer of covered calls. That's how I generate my own income on my portfolio. It allows my companies to grow while generating income along the way. And I'm not transferring wealth from the company to myself. I'm using very broad, high-level ideas of selling covered calls to generate 1% to 4% per year on my portfolio. That, to me, is the extra money that I'm building. When you join our community, you'll connect with thousands of investors like you, sharing ideas and strategies to grow smarter and stay ahead of the game. Plus, you're going to get access to all the tools that I use every single day, like Stock Analyzer, Retirement Calculator, Real Estate Calculator, and the 8-Pillar Search, all backed by over 30 years of data and growing. So click on the link in the description below to get your 7-day trial for just $7. That's $1 per day. Guys, talk about a great investment. This could be the best investing decision you ever make, and it's $1 per day. So let's take your investing to the next level together. Thank you for your time.